Hi everybody, this is Ro. Welcome back to my channel. I'm sitting here with my good friend who I met last year at the conference, and we met up again here this year. His name is Armondo. He has such a beautiful story. He works with a nonprofit in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm going to let you talk about it. I'm just going to let you take over, tell everybody what you want to tell them about yourself, about your background, and everything else.
First, I'd like to say thank you, Ro. I appreciate your dedication, your passion behind this cause. So as she was telling me, my name is Armondo. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, lifelong resident. I struggled as a youth. I was on parole for quite some time, 18 years to be exact.
Okay.
In and out of institutions. My parents divorced when I was 14 years old, which kind of just sent me into a tailspin. I'm just getting into a lot of trouble as a youth. Before I know it, I landed in, I was in the California Youth Authority for a few years. I came home. I went in when I was about 17. I came home when I was about 21.
Okay.
I already had a daughter before I went in, so when I came home, she was around 4 or 5. I had a hard time connecting. I just felt like a stranger. I was gone for so long, and there was never no services to help with that situation. So when we're looking at, incarceration, how it impacts families, I'm definitely impacted by it.
Yeah.
But just jumping forward, after going in and out of institutions for, like I said, 18 years, I managed to bring a few children into the world. Unfortunately, I was not there like I should have been. So they were raised by their prospective mothers. And at the age of around 40, I realized that there was another child on the way. And I didn't know how to react. Like I had such a bad track record, and I really had no strong connection with none of the 3 of my children. So my daughter is 31. I have 2 boys that are in their 20s. So when I found out how I got this opportunity, though, to try to be a dad, to try to, for once in my life, be a dad. I got the letter in the mail saying that, your daughter is more than likely going to be entered into the foster care system. So my mother and I, rest in peace, my mom recently passed, but she gave me a lot. So I'm okay, I'm strong. So my mom and I showed up at the court date, and it didn't look too promising. They were like, "Who are you and what do you want?" And I'm dad. Okay, no, you're not. You haven't held this child out to the community. You haven't did nothing. So what? At the DNA is there. So anyway, they set up what they call a case plan. They wanted me to jump through their hoops and do some things to put in place to make sure that they were making the right decision, placing this beautiful little child with me. Right. So I was able to, I say by the grace of God, sheer determination, and a lot of people that believed in me, I was able to successfully navigate that system. And my mom and I had my little baby girl in our home in about 8 months. It was just me and my mom, and we're looking at this little girl like, so beautiful and precious, and at the same time, how do we do this? Because my mom didn't raise no girls, she raised 4 boys. Yeah. So I ended up at a fatherhood support group that they put on in my county, and it was there that I met an individual that was a parent advocate, and he said, hey, there might be hiring for a position, and I was like, what is that? So I went and applied, and they hired me on as a parent advocate to help other parents navigate the very same system that I was once a part of. And through that, I ended up in a few different committees throughout the county, and that's how I ended up at this conference. Okay. Because they know that I have an incarceration background, in and out, on parole. They asked me if I'd be interested in sitting on a committee, being a facilitator. It's a committee called the Parent Caregiver Advisory Group, and what that does is we focus on the unseen population, which is the children that go just kind of under the radar when you have a parent that's taken to jail, and the children aren't given no services. They're not given, the other parent or the caretaker is not offered any help. Yeah. So our group, we focus on trying to change that. So we try to target the children that, have an incarcerated parent. And sometimes it's hard because there's a stigma attached to it, and kids are ashamed of it. You know? So that's a little bit about me. I'm happy to be here. I've gained a family. You're part of that family. Yeah. So I learn so much every time I come here. And in the child welfare system, most of the families are low income, families of color, and so I work in the community that I live in. I'll just put it this way: I go to therapy once a week. Yeah. I go to therapy once a week because I take in a lot. It's called vicarious trauma. Yeah. I know that my mom and dad, who are both recently just passed, as I said, are proud of me today. Yeah. And my story's not over. It's just begun.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just begun. And you too.
Yeah. Yep. So, and that's funny because I posted a video on Wednesday. I don't know when this video is going up because I filmed a few and it takes me a little while to edit it. But I said the exact same words. You said I lost my mom this year too, and she wasn't really very supportive about my relationship. And she was diagnosed with cancer about 10 years before, and I moved in to help take care of her. And I got a letter from Adam one day. It was Valentine's Day. And she holds it up and she goes, "We need to talk about this." And we got, and she was in remission at that point, so I guess I felt like okay, but we got into this huge fight, and she ended this fight by saying, and my mom and I were close, we never fought, but at this point she goes, "You're gonna die an old miserable hag." And my mom never spoke like that. She was being a protective mommy. He's a lifer.
Yeah.
So I vowed to myself in that moment, I was never going to talk about him to her again, because if in my weird thought process, the stress, me being with him and her not agreeing with that, she's very old school Catholic Italian beliefs, so she couldn't understand it in her earthly mind. So I said, I'm just never going to talk. We just don't have to talk about it, because if God forbid the stress of that makes her sick and I put her in her grave, I'll never forgive myself.
Yeah.
And so all of these years later, I now know, and I just put this in a video on Wednesday, that she's up there smiling down and she gets it. She gets it. And she knew she was dying, and she wrote letters to me and each of my siblings that I just so happened to walk in, because I only work 7 miles away from the house. So I would come home every day on lunch, make sure she was eating, I would check on her. And I came home, this was 3 days before she died. She was dying, but none of us really realized she was dying. I thought it was going to be around this time. I thought I wasn't going to be able to make the conference this year, because I thought she would pass now. This was back in April. And I walked into the room where she was basically living the last 3 weeks of her life, and I said, "What are you doing?" And she shuts her laptop really quick, and she says, "I'm working on a little project." I said, "Oh." I didn't think twice about it. It kind of stood out in the back of my mind. And I went and I fed her and I ate and I left. So 3 days later, she died, and I called my sister. I said, "We have to get into that laptop." Because she was working on a project, right? And I don't know if that was her, like, hey, there's something in there. But I went and I looked, and I found her email and I found her Facebook. We had her password because she was 71 years old when she died. She wasn't really into technology. Right. So I looked, and I'm just about to shut it. I didn't find anything. I was like, well, I guess she was just working on something. Who knows? And my sister said, "Did you check her Google Drive?" And I go, "No, but like, how would she even know how to use that? But I'll check everything." And in there, I opened it up. There were 7 letters, one to each of my siblings and one to my father. And in my letter, so I printed them all out. And she bought these cards. She had my sister buy these cards that said, "I love you more." Like, hello, mic drop. Right? So I find these cards, and I printed them all out, and I gave them all to my siblings at her funeral. And I put mine on my pillow, and I read it after all of that. And in there it said, "You have never disappointed me." And I think that was her saying, go live your life now. It's okay. Do what you got to do. So you said that about your mom, and it just stood out in my mind. Do you mind if I shift gears a little bit?
Not at all.
Okay. So you're one of the very few men that we allow access to our private page on Facebook. So can you speak to, I kind of want to go in 2 different ways, and we can edit anything out that you don't want to talk about. I want to go the route of somebody who's been inside, because I know we were speaking off camera, and you were saying that you have a lot of experience, and sometimes you see things that you don't feel comfortable necessarily responding to, but you have all this knowledge. We have a lot of women who are coming in and talking about behaviors that you see red flags. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to that?
So when we talk, I can speak to this as far as I don't know.
Just give me, yeah.
The haters and the red flags. I didn't get that part, but I'll tell you this much. I look at the page. I go in there maybe once a week, and just kind of scroll through real quick. And what I'm looking for is something that I've experienced before, or something that
good.
I was that guy.
Yeah.
I was that guy. I had them behaviors.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll respond to the lady that's talking about it and just give her where I was at and what I was thinking.
Thank you for articulating that in the way that I couldn't.
Yeah.
So can you give us a couple of those little
examples?
Examples, yeah.
So I think there was one lady that was on your page, and she was talking about, you probably see this a lot on the page, well, I took care of him so good. I was there with him for 12 years, 7 months, whatever it was. He was loving, he was kind, and then he came home.
Yeah.
And I felt nothing but coldness come from him.
Yeah.
He was quiet. Everything I tried to do for him, it irritated him. And when I read that part, I knew that I had some input to give. So you understand, men that have served a lot of time and have been incarcerated, they're used to doing things for themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the lady's just being loving and just wants to take care of her man.
Yeah.
And she's getting battered for, bashed for it, just like he's being mean, because it's like, and so I just shared, I remember coming home And I was in my middle 20s, and I was with a lady who was a little bit older than me. And she was amazing. She really took good care of me. And while I was inside, it was okay. She'd do everything she wanted for me. When I came home, I mean, she was amazing. She like wanted to take my shoes off, wanted to do everything, you know, and it just, don't do that. You know, I needed a little bit more space. I shared with the lady, maybe he's just used to being like, you know, doing things for himself.
Yeah.
And it's just coming across wrong. I mean, but of course, and then you have men that, you know, unfortunately, ladies, you have men that are there just to use you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But there are a few good men, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of good men.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that, you know, based on the actions of a lot of others, you know, there's a stigma behind
Yeah.
men that are in jail or that are incarcerated that are in love with somebody. There's
Yeah.
a stigma.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Leah Bell. I have an amazing friend who I referred to your page.
Yeah.
Okay, example right there. I mean, we were good friends, and she had some support and she had some haters. I always just encouraged her, and unfortunately, the Lord took her home, but her husband's still alive. You know,
Yeah.
and he's coming home. I don't know when, but he's coming home. But that's just, I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. I think you did. And I think that's kind of me like validating when you go on that page. You have that knowledge, you have that experience, and
Yeah.
that's what we need. It's one thing for me to give the advice and to say that, but I haven't lived it. So it's like somebody that's been inside coming to you. You guys have that bond, the knowledge. You don't want to get textbook answers. You want to hear it from somebody who's been there.
And when I first got on the page, I tell you, I was like, well, wait a minute, because I'm looking for some guys on there.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, this could be a setup. You know, I got all these, I mean, no offense, but when you go onto the page, you're going to see some women that are vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're going to see some women that are hurting. And for some men, that could be like, okay, this is where I need to be.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
Yeah,
And,
thank you for that.
You know, I have a beautiful little daughter that I'm raising, and I want to try to set the best example for her. So, you know, I know there's a very, I'm very cautious when I go on that page.
Thank you for that.
Very cautious what I say, because it can be looked at wrong. Well, what's this guy doing on here? You know, so there's a lot of stuff that I want us to speak to, but I just don't. Don't, because I know it's really not my place, and I'll just let the ladies hash that out.
Right.
You know. So.
Yeah. And I think it's you and Pete, and that might be the only two men, because we've met you guys here at the conference in person.
Yes.
So we've built that rapport with you.
Yes.
So, question: how, since you're a father, you were in prison, you work with families, with children, talk to the mothers who are raising children while daddy is inside. Do you have any advice for how to keep that involved, or what do you got for us?
Unfortunately, when it comes to mothers or fathers
Yeah.
that are taking care of their children while the other parents are incarcerated, we'll talk about the mothers. So I facilitate a group in the county that I'm from. It's called the Parent Caregiver Advisory Group. We focus on that unseen population, which are the children.
Yep.
That go unnoticed, under the radar, when there's an incarcerated parent, or sometimes two. And both parents are in jail, and little Johnny's over here with grandma, and you know, nobody even knows nothing about it. Life goes on, and unfortunately, that happens like that, because our children are our future.
Yes.
And so I would say to the ladies out there that may have children and that are traveling back and forth to the prison and that are bringing their kids with them, support that. Also have some boundaries. I mean, because, you know, like, it can be very traumatic for kids going into the prison, and he has to be on his A game.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not just your heart that he's messing with now. You got the kids involved.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So he really has to, like, step his game up. And guys might hate me for this, but when they have the phones in the prison, I mean, okay, cool, but it's not cool, because it's illegal. And that can get
cell
them more,
phones.
yes.
Okay.
And that can get them more time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not okay, but, you know, a lot of them do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a friend that's in there. He has a cell phone. He calls me every now and then, you know, and I try to support him. I say, bro, man, you need to get rid of that phone, bro, you know, because if you get caught with the phone, you get caught up. So back to the kids, though. Yeah, there's a lot of books, you know, that I don't know if you're familiar. There's books that deal with children with incarcerated parent. You can Google them. You can look them up.
Okay.
Like I said, in my county in California, there's ACIP, which stands for Alameda County Caregivers of Incarcerated Parents, something like that. The INCIP was here, you know, which is a National Incarceration Parent Partnership. I forget the acronym, but
I'll get them and I'll post them.
yes,
in
please
the box
do,
below.
please do.
Yep.
So there's a lot of resources there that are there to, I won't say a lot, but there's some resources that support groups and stuff like that where you can connect with and meet other mothers that also have, children in their care while dad's in prison, and maybe connecting with them mothers and doing play dates with the kids. And kids that have an incarcerated parent
Yeah.
need other kids around them that have incarcerated parents, so they have something to, that they have in common.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of them,
Yeah.
but they just don't know. They're all in different pockets.
Yep.
They don't know where they're at. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things we try to do coming to this conference is highlight a population that goes under the radar.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That's such tough work.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. So this is the group that I facilitate, and it's in California. So any ladies watching that are in California, you're welcome. If you're a lady and you're in California and you have a child and the child's father is incarcerated, you are a candidate for this group if you'd like to be. And what we're doing is help improve the lives of children affected by incarceration. So if you fit into this category or this category, right, there's a number right down there, Kimberly Murphy, you can call. We offer a $50 stipend, and we meet once a month, and we work on different projects that we get throughout Alameda County. There's a little bit more information down on the bottom. You can pause it and read it, stuff like that. And so there's that. Boom.
Awesome. Tell me about this $50 stipend, just because I don't want.
Okay, so here's the $50 stipend and what it's about. So we're funded. We have, as a facilitator of the group, it's my responsibility to make sure, along with my director and everybody else that's involved, to make sure that the annual grant that we get, that money is used for things like this conference. So the stipend, we understand the meeting is like once a month on a Wednesday morning from 10 to 12.
Okay.
And that's a work day. So we
Yeah.
offer a stipend. Just maybe you have to take a couple hours work.
Got it. Okay.
We're going to pay that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? $50. It ain't much, but it's, when you're talking about a stipend to go to a group, usually they're $20 or $25.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
nice stipend, $50,
Yeah.
So we give them the stipend, we feed them, and we get different projects from larger groups within the county. Here's a scenario. They want us to take a look at phone calls. Everybody's on
Yeah.
that one. They want us to take a look at, well, I'll ask grandma that's in the room, or I'll ask uncle, or I'll ask mom. So what was it like when you were going up there to go visit? What did you have to wait in the line? Were they nice to the children? Was there any services offered? We want to know their experience, because it's definitely a broken system.
Yeah.
We're trying to put some things into place to fix it. And it's painstaking. It takes forever, but that's where we're at.
Awesome. Well, I stopped Armando on his way to the airport. Literally, I'm going to show you. My phone is propped up on his luggage. So I don't want to keep you too much longer. Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much.
Yep.
You're such an asset to our community. So you can post in there anytime you want to post in there. Any last words for YouTube?
Life is short. Hug those that you love often. As I said earlier, my mom and dad just recently passed, a month apart, not 6 months ago. Count every moment, and especially when it comes to mom and dad. They're calling, you're like, oh no, and you send it to voicemail. Try not to do that. It's hard. It's hard. 'Cause, but and just like when it comes to the men that are incarcerated, you ladies that are listening, that men can change. You have to have some boundaries, of course. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's a lot of women that do get caught up with the wrong guy that's in prison, and he's over there the whole time, and having someone help him write the letter and everything else. And so you got to be very careful. You got to be very careful, and I don't know, find a confidant, somebody you can talk to, because it can get lonely, I bet.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a little plug. I have 2 videos that I made that I'll post up here in the card somewhere. One is red flags in a prison relationship, and the other one is green flags in a prison relationship. Okay. So if you question if he is maybe doing something, watch those videos. And then, if we have questions for Armando, I'll send you over to him.
Yeah, I can be found on Facebook if you want to go see my page. It's Armondo. It's spelled Armondo. And then the last name is spelled Depina, DE_Pina. I guess I'll show my picture of my daughter before we leave.
Yes.
And then we can end the video. Okay. I have a lot of kids.
You said something beautiful the other night when you were talking about her. Your little something, and you said it's mean her against the world, and I just loved it.
That's my little mama.
Yeah.
My little mama. So first I'll show you. This is a picture of all my kids. First, that's me, and then this is the youngest. That's Jayla. There's the oldest, Vanessa, and there's Gabriel, and there's Robbie, my 2 boys. Not bragging about it, but they do all have different mothers. But I was a mess back then. Today I'm in a little bit better situation, but I have a connection with all my kids today. This one just graduated from the United States Army Military Police Academy. This one's a professional skateboarder. This one's a nurse at Kaiser, and this one's going to be a doctor.
You know what? And I just want to say this. We all have a past, so you might not be proud of who you were, but this right here is proof that things can change and you can break the cycle. And just because Daddy did some things in the past that he's not proud of doesn't mean that you can't turn into a beautiful, successful person. So thank you for sharing that with us.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Here's me and my dad roll. Just
Oh, it's so cute.
me and my dad roll. This is me when she was like about 2 or
Oh.
3. These are all my kids again. And hey, it's, you know, and yeah, she's going to graduate, and she's getting ready.
Look at her. She's so cute.
She's going to graduate, and she's getting ready to do it.
Oh.
Thanks again, Ro.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you.
Okay.
God bless.